Good afternoon, guys. Live in the market, been in the market now just under 1 hour on MBIO. It was on our screener yesterday, flagged up. It was added to the watch list today, and it's also been added into our interactive broker account for the day trade. At the moment, it's 25% up. It was up pre-market. I will release some videos on how we screen, or I might just start releasing the watch list each and every day, so keep a lookout for those videos. We also added EGG and GVH. Now, EGG is doing a lot better than MBIO, but the thing is, once you make a decision, you stick with your decision. You don't fluctuate between the two stocks, because what you'll end up doing, you'll end up trading on MBIO, and trading on EGG, and you might miss the move on one of them, and you'll end up losing money. So once you've picked your trade, stick to that trade for the day. So unfortunately, we missed out on EGG, but we're in on MBIO. What you can see on the screen at the moment is the MACD. So we've got currently the MACD in red. Now, we entered the stock around 330 with an average price of, I think it was 329 in the end. And yes, the MACD was declining, okay? But because of the pre-market interest in the stock, we set out a very tight stop loss. We didn't put it on the system because there's algo bots that'll take that out, but we do have a stop loss in mind, and we entered into the trade at $3.30 on the open, and then we averaged in. What we then done is we marked from the open roughly 10% below the open, okay, and then a target of 20% above, okay. So the 10% below is basically the lower we can get our average price, the more gains that we will get as that stock moves into the greener area, i.e. the target area of 20% profit taken. Okay, now it doesn't necessarily mean that we will reach 20%, but that's the target. Okay, so the lower we can get in at, the better we'll get in gains. So at the moment, we're roughly fluctuating around our entry price, which is $3.30, and the MACD still is red. So what that basically means is the last 5 closing periods at this moment in time will lower. However, currently, that yellow line, as you can see, the moving average for the last 5 periods has dramatically inclined with a reversal, and also the 20 moving average, or the 20 period moving average in green, is also now on an incline. Well, it's been on an incline ever since, but the main concern here is the 5 period moving average has now started to incline. And what we'll see happen on the MACD over the course of, say, the next half an hour is that will turn a lighter red, which indicates that there is bullish momentum. More buyers are stepping into the market, and as more screeners flag up on retail traders' accounts, they will also come into the market and then begin to push this stock price back up to roughly 350, 360, at which point we'd be looking at around 390 or 20% return on 330. If they're all thereabouts, we'd be happy with that. But as I say, it's now 3:40 with 3 minutes left on the current, on the current hourly candle. So there we go. So it's now just turned light red. So that's now showing us, let me get rid of that. That's now showing us that there's now more bullish intent, more buyers coming into the stock. Sellers, or short I should say, are beginning to get out of positions and also push that price higher towards the $3.60 mark, at which point we will see some really heavy traffic. If we just mark up roughly around this area, $3.70 up to $3.90, it's rough, and it's very unlikely that it will get through that today. But if that does break through today, or let's say not today, tomorrow, then potentially we're up to $4.30, and then we're all the way up to $5. Unlikely, but you know, at the end of the day, it flags up on the screener, and we're trading this intraday. So we're looking at the hourly chart. We set out our indicators and our sort of areas of interest on an hourly and a 4-hourly chart, and then when we are getting towards a precise key area of interest, i.e. on the open, we will start at 5 minutes. We will monitor what the stock is doing, and we will look to gain more sort of shares in the lower part of the trade. So obviously, if it opens here, we'd be looking to buy more shares in and around here, so that, let's say, obviously, that we did need to get out of the stock and our average is $3.10 and it reached $3, then we're only losing 10 cents a share you know, on a small position. So ideally, we want to be sort of buying bulk of our shares right at the base. But for that, we'd need the stock to decline 10%. And then potentially, we would look to see that stock go up another 10%, back to 330, maybe a little scalp up to 360 potentially, and then come back down sort of the $3.30 area. That's if we started to trade from here. Okay, but at the moment, it is holding in or around $3.40 and $3.30, which is our entry price. So hopefully, as the MACD turns more bullish, and that green line you can see at the bottom there, which is the signal line, as they touch the yellow line, might cross for the maybe say 10, 15, 20 minutes, then it'll start to turn itself around and incline along with the signal line. So if we go back to the hourly chart, you will see that the signal line is currently horizontal, and we've now got a full red bar on the MACD. We're looking for that to turn white again.